never gonna let it end like Babylon, cause you see I got the car, focus up like Adam.
What's up, guys? Papa Steam from the Shoot Style Sauna here with the very first episode of the Writer's Room. This is where I, your head writer, look at super shitty storylines from wrestling, any brand really, and talk about how I'd write it instead. Because, yeah, as you can see, I'm still quarantined in the studio. Hope everyone is doing safely. And yeah, so this first episode is about EC3 in NXT. I could do his main roster run too, but that's I don't want to do that right now, because that's too much fucking work. I will do that only if this video gets requested for a part 2. If you guys like this and you want a part 2 for EC3's main roster run, I'm going to try and see if we can get, I don't know, a certain amount of likes. Let's say 10 likes, and we'll do a part 2 to EC3. But I'm going to tell you guys first what really happened with him and how they ruined him, and then we'll get to my booking. So, sweet. So what originally happened, we're not going to talk about the Derek Bateman stuff in the original, like, reality show, NXT, because that was stupid, and that's a waste of my time. So he was teased at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. He did one of those crowd reveals. He had the 3, super cool. And he debuted at TakeOver New Orleans, aka my favorite takeover of all time, in the North American title ladder match. But that was really overshadowed by the debut of Ricochet, because WWE valued Ricochet more. Really, it just was. So yeah. And he did like an okay performance. He had this weak feud with Velveteen Dream, and then they had a match at, I want to say it was like Brooklyn 4, something like that. Then Lars accused him of attacking Aleister Black, and then he tried to beat all of Undisputed Era in one go, and then he left. And they really didn't do anything with him. They didn't give him a title run. They gave him almost nothing. And then February of 2019 comes around. He makes his debut on Raw on Moment of Bliss. Just wasn't great. It wasn't great. Then he was supposed to feud with Dean Ambrose or Jon Moxley, as he's better known, but he couldn't get Moxley booed because he was so over, and Vince decided to punish him by burying him and never using him again. And I guess he won the 24/7 title 4 times, and then he was released for COVID-19 relief. In that part, they released like all those fucking guys. So really, EC3 was never used. Okay. I mean, let me jump into the writer's room. Let's see the magic I can work with. So, like I said, I'm only doing the NXT run. I don't want to do the main roster run. It's if you want a part 2, you can get a part 2. But I'm going to incorporate what I liked from EC3 back when he was in TNA and try to create this consistency. Because in terms of the Shoot Style Sauna guys, I'm, as Stell likes NWA, I am very much TNA guy. I still like Impact. The shows now, kind of rough. Tessa Blanchard, kind of rough. But what made EC3 so great in TNA was he just had this creative freedom. He was just allowed to just say whatever he wanted to. And that's kind of what I want to give with this. So I would keep his debut the same. I would have him be in the crowd to take over Philadelphia to kind of rile him up. I would keep the reason I am keeping the ladder match the same even with Ricochet is because although he was immediately overlooked, you still have that big fight feel of I'm debuting at a takeover and not on just the show. So I'm going to keep that. He had some decent moments and he looked good. He had a great amount of character work in that ladder match. So we'll start there. Ladder match goes as normal. Adam Cole wins North American Championship. Whatever. And another thing with my booking is, and how I'm writing this, is I want to keep it as consistent as possible with how other matches went. For example, so I don't want to create a whole new story with this because this is also at TakeOver New Orleans is where you had Gargano Ciampa 1. And it was a really good moment, and people really liked seeing later down the line when Gargano won the NXT title. So we'll get to that. I don't want to change any of that. I'm going to try and find a way to fit it into the story where it makes sense. And since apparently he's going to be called up immediately, I've got a year to work with. Okay, let's try this out. So, keep his debut the same, and I'd keep his character basically like he was in TNA, where he's a very pompous, like, luxury trust fund kid, because he calls himself the top 1%. So, I would have him immediately run with that top 1% of wrestling acumen character. You know, start doing, and a lot of what made him special was his promo work. And just kind of have him talk about how he's the top 1%, how great he is. And I would have him immediately pick a feud with the Velveteen Dream about how he cost EC3 the chance to be the first North American championship. So you're probably wondering, since at that time it was Ricochet and Velveteen Dream going at each other, what would I have Ricochet do? I would have him immediately go into an NXT title feud with Aleister Black. I'm sorry, Lars Sullivan, it just wasn't your time. But if you want to capitalize on the white-hot debut of Ricochet and how amazing a performance he did, you immediately put him at the top of the ladder. It's just going to make sense. So, you have EC3 feud with Velveteen Dream. So far, you're just building up. EC3 is like, I want my shot. You know, it's my time, and gosh darn it, I want to do it. I want to be the champ. I don't know what accent I'm going for. Anyways, what would make this feud great at the very beginning is you need to give these two promo freedom. Now, they do that with Velveteen Dream. They kind of let him do whatever he wants as Prince. But EC3 excels on his mic work, and let's be honest, it's a little better than his wrestling. But if you have them just go at each other, just a simple, like, you cost me, let's do it, you're going to have the crowd invested based on what your promo skills are. And it's kind of a clash of two styles. So Velveteen Dream is very, he's fluid, he's insulting, but he's very, like, flashy about it. And EC3 is, like, cold, analytical, and just goes for you. It's very Shoot Style Sauna. Almost to the point where it seems like he'd get in trouble for stuff he's saying. But that's what made EC3 detestable, is that he would just say stuff. It's almost like MJF now. But I digress. So, both of these guys are going to get big wins going up. In EC3, he has a debut right after he has to debut on TV. So let's give him some easy wins against a couple jobbers, and then bigger guys as you get on the way to TakeOver. So EC3, Velveteen Dream, TakeOver Chicago 2. I would give these guys about 15-20 minutes. I'd have it start the show just to showcase the difference in styles, but also how they go about facing each other. EC3 has a very technical approach, which kind of works for him as the top 1% of wrestling acumen. And Velveteen Dream is very flashy, also works for his character. So 15-20 minutes. Towards the end of the match, Velveteen Dream tries to pick him up for like that Dream Valley driver. EC3 kicks the ref. He goes down. Velveteen Dream is like trying to get whatever. EC3 slides. EC3 low blows him. Slides out of the ring. As Dream is kind of down, injured, EC3 goes over to the announcer's table. He grabs a bottle of champagne. Looks at it for a bit. Runs right back into the ring. Dream has finally gotten up. Cracks it down on his head. It could be fake glass, real glass. I don't give a shit what it is, but cracks it down. Wakes the referee up. 1, 2, 3. Glorious boos. The crowd should hate him. This is where EC3, if you're going to have a pompous character who is just starting out, have him do heel stuff against someone people care about. The crowd just loses their mind, just booing him, just boo. The boo, I am a gentleman. Boo. And EC3 plays this up. He sits on Velveteen Dream's prone body, just kind of like crosses his legs, and is just does the 3. So, after Chicago 2, Dream is kayfabe written off to take care of Stitches. because, you know, glass face, ow. EC3 transitions more into this top 1% character, and how I'm envisioning it, it's a modern cross between the $1 Million Man, so you're going to have promos where he's in mansions and hot tubs and got all these great things, but also Mr. Perfect. And what really works, while not copying those characters outright, how it really works is his charisma. And take a look at any of his promos in TNA in like 2015, 2016, like that time frame when he was world champion with Dixie. His charisma is off the charts. Hell, even go back to the Derek Bateman stuff when he was early NXT, like 2010. His charisma was off the charts, and that's how I think this works. So he starts cutting vignettes in state-of-the-art gym facilities or fancy-ass restaurants or whatever, saying, you know, I could have been like every other wrestler and tried to win clean, but I am the top 1%, meaning I do things my way, and nobody else can touch me. Velveteen Dream was not worth my time, so I got out of there as quick as I could. And you really have him play up that he is not worth it, which gets the crowd to hate him. So, have him, I would have EC3 almost not wrestle much on television. If you are, have him be just that pompous asshole who just blows apart jobbers, or just it squashes them, essentially. Or just be like, nope, I'm not doing that. Have him lose by countout because those guys are not worth his time. But I would have EC3 not wrestle as much on television. If you're going to play up that whole top 1%, don't show up on free TV. So, a couple weeks go by, you're getting closer to TakeOver Brooklyn 4, which is when they actually had their match. But it wasn't great, so I won't do that. Instead, I'll alter it. So Dream finally comes back. You see actual stitches in his face or somewhere like that where he got hit, or in his head, where he got hit with that glass bottle. And this is where Dream goes nuts on promos. He calls out EC3 in an episode of NXT. And if this is allowed, I don't think it will be. If this is allowed, I would name drop Dixie. I would name drop Dixie Carter. It's probably not allowed because of WWE not wanting to acknowledge other companies. I wouldn't do that. Unless, if you can, do. If you can't, I get it. But have him call him out saying, you took a coward's way out. You're a little punk trust fund bitch. Let's settle this like men. EC3 kind of appears on the Tron, and he says, you know, he goes full nuts with this. He's like, you're part of the 99% who aren't worthy of me. You're not worthy of my presence. So why should I waste my time dealing with you? So as Dream is looking at the Tron, a hooded figure kind of slides into the ring and unveils, it's EC3. That Tron was pre-recorded. Ha! Sneak attack. He's got another champagne bottle with him. He tries to attack, but Dream dodges out of it, catches him, Dream Valley Driver. The match is made. And on the go-home show, EC3 is giving a fancy-ass promo, probably by a pool, with some woman in a bikini serving him caviar, probably on a gold spoon. I don't know. And he's talking about how great he is and how he's going to just vanquish EC3. And then that pool, this is where a lot of the special effect stuff comes into play. And especially since NXT wasn't live, you could play this up a bit. So have the pool turn purple. Get very smoky. EC3 can just like panic a bit. You can have any butlers around him just sprint out of there. But then have Dream emerge from the pool and just start wailing on him. And because of that, you can have GM William Regal tweet out or something saying this match is no disqualification. Because these men just cannot be contained. Because they're just going so at each other and you can just feel the tension between them. Maybe that pool spot was a bit silly. Maybe you can go fuck yourself. So, TakeOver Brooklyn 4, EC3, Velveteen Dream, no disqualification. And I would have EC3 win. Let me get to that. So, towards the end of the match, it looks like Dream is finally going to win with the Purple Rainmaker, but a big-ass hooded figure climbs up on the apron, looks at Velveteen Dream. They have this cool stare-off. He grabs him and slams him from the top rope onto the outside, almost on the barricade. It should look harsh. Takes off the hood, and it's Lars Sullivan. I need to use Lars for something, alright? At this point, Lars was also called up around the same time EC3 kind of came about, so why not use the both of them? So, Lars Sullivan delivers a freak accident to Velveteen Dream on the outside, hurts the absolute bejesus out of him, throws him into the ring. EC3 does one of those like one finger pins, or even like the push-up pin that he did. Super fun. 1, 2, 3. EC3 and Lars Sullivan both stand over Dream, arms held in the air. So Lars becomes EC3's personal bodyguard. Whenever EC3 has matches, he elects for Lars to fight him. He grabs a mic and will say, no, 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 not my time, not worth it. Here is large man, go for it. And whenever that happens, I would have Lars win in like 3 minutes. Because what made Lars' character, before it got ruined by Lars being Lars, what made him interesting was because he was just a monster. He just beat the shit out of people. So yeah, I would have Lars go on this giant just beating up. I'd have him beat up nobodies, in all honesty. I'd have him go probably 2-3 weeks in a row of him beating up nobodies. And I would have it to the point where you notice a tension between EC3 and William Regal. I would have that noticed, where Regal's like, you can't just keep doing that, and EC3's like, yes I can. And then Lars can, either intimidate him or throw Regal. It doesn't matter. Regal's not playing an integral part in this. So, TakeOver War Games is coming up. Regal says, hey, you should be in War Games, and EC3 says, nope, I'm not doing that. That's silly, that's stupid. Who are you? Get out of here. So EC3 is not going to be in War Games, so that preserves the Undisputed Era versus Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and War Machine. I'm not calling up the Viking Raiders Experience Team boys karaoke. Not doing that. That's dumb. Instead, EC3 is going to go somewhere else. Let me tell you where he's going. So, on an episode of NXT, EC3 grabs a mic and he says, War Games is not a place for a man as pristine as me. A man like me deserves gold. Lars Sullivan's music hits, and he drags out then NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa by the neck, deposits him into the ring. EC3 hits that cool, that was a dumb move I did. Hits what he calls the 1%. It's like almost like a flapjack move. You know what I'm talking about. I'll show it here. EC3 hits the 1% on Tommaso Ciampa, stands over him, grabs the belt, lifts it up in the air over him. So, every week, Lars starts beating the shit out of Ciampa. EC3 wants him as hurt as humanly possible. And around this time, Ciampa's neck started not being a neck. We're going to play that up a bit. So, every week, have him go after Ciampa. Just aggravate the neck as much as possible, which this is when that turns Ciampa face. At the point, he was already a heel. He had won the NXT title from Aleister Black, and he was just anger boy, anger boy, anger, anger, anger. Have him turn face here when Lars is beating the absolute tar out of him. On the Go Home show, Ciampa's finally just had enough, goes after Lars, and actually has a one-on-one match with him, and he actually beats Lars Sullivan, but then is immediately attacked by EC3, grabs a mic, says, I will see you at War Games, drops the mic on his face, grabs the champagne, pours it, sips it over him, and just pours the rest on his prone body. Memes. So TakeOver War Games, Ciampa defending the NXT title against EC3. This is hard hitting. This is where EC3 is going to target the neck, and this is where a lot of his character work is starting to happen. At one point, he even throws Ciampa over the barricade to attack the neck. He throws him neck first in the barricade and just keeps doing it. Whenever the ref's back is turned, Lars Sullivan just plants him on the barricade to aggravate that neck. Right? So, close to the end, Ciampa looks like he's about to hit that running knee and defend after. I would give these guys another like 15, 20 minutes. Have these guys just go. No, actually, even like 25 because it's the main event. Ciampa looks like he's about to do that running knee attack. EC3 dodges out of the way. EC3 looks like he's going to go for a clothesline. Ciampa moves, and since Lars Sullivan was on the apron, EC3 clotheslines Lars Sullivan off. EC3 just kind of, he sits there like almost worried for a second, and then he just cuts all emotion, and he starts berating Lars Sullivan, saying, "What the hell were you doing on the apron? That is your fault for being there." He starts berating him. So, after all of this, Ciampa turns him around, tries to go for Project Ciampa, which is that's the power bomb into the knees. I could be wrong. Yes, that is. I'm right. Shut up. Tries to go for that. EC3, if possible, just kind of like punch him down a bit or have him kind of propel off the ref. Dick kick city. Roll him up, grab the tights. 1, 2, 3. EC3 has cheated his way to win the NXT title. He runs out of the ring. He picks up Lars Sullivan, picks up his title. Lars Sullivan is still a bit stunned, so EC3 pushes Lars Sullivan away. He's like, forget it, this is my moment. Takes the NXT title, poses with it at the top of the ramp, pay-per-view over. And have commentary really play up the fact that EC3 cheated and was an asshole and just pure anger, right? So, EC3, because he's super pompous, he starts parading around. He takes his NXT title on the EC3 VIP tour, right? He becomes unbearable. Have him take it to the Performance Center to taunt newbies. Be like, this is what a champion looks like. You look like a lil punk bitch. Right? Good Derek Bateman reference. Have him go to the Performance Center. Have him make fun of him just like, you know, I was once in your shoes and then I realized I'm better than that and I'm awesome. Go me. He can even visit celebrities, you know, with the title. Just seeing actors or whatever. Even if we can also get him here, go to Dixie, but that's if the other thing worked. But I would have him go to Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Play into that a bit. Just be like, haha, I got this world title, something you couldn't do, you know, clean. He tries to, I wouldn't have him do that, actually. Don't listen to that part. Go to Ted DiBiase and say, look at me, you know, I'm the NXT champion, you know, we have 2 world champions between us. And then have DiBiase, if you want to do a celebrity thing, you know, have DiBiase be like, yeah, have him be face here. Be like, nope, I'm the $1 Million Man, you are a trust fund dipshit. And have DiBiase just not even acknowledge EC3 at that point. Regal, being pissed as ever, he awards Ciampa a rematch at TakeOver Phoenix and says to Ciampa, he's like, I get it, your neck hurts. Take whatever time off in between you need, but at TakeOver Phoenix, you get your rematch. So, if you don't want to wrestle, that's fine. So, and because Ciampa won't be featured as much, have EC3 go on this promo rampage. He rips into him. How I envision one of them, probably the funniest one, is EC3 comes in with this giant comedic neck brace, like Andy Kaufman level stupid. And he's just making fun of Ciampa, just like, my neck is just... Quarantine is fucking killing me. Anyways, something the fans will also notice during this is that Lars is starting to get visually upset with EC3. Let's remember that, because EC3, ever since War Games, has become a little more assertive, a little more aggressive in how he disciplines him, a little too big for his fucking britches, and just Lars still power hungry. He is still rampaging through the roster, right? But now he's not squashing people. He's taking his time. He's getting a little beat up. If he does suffer a loss, I would have EC3 come in and just start wailing on him. Just be like, you are not worthy of being my bodyguard if you can't beat everyone in that locker room. Whether you want to give Lars a mid-card title run here, that's your call. I'm not going to book that because right now he doesn't need it. But this all takes us to TakeOver Phoenix, EC3, Tommaso Ciampa, rematch. This one would probably be the longest match of this whole story. This would be half hour, right? Ciampa goes full power. You know, he takes EC3 out instantly. Later on in the match, he even takes out Lars Sullivan with a giant knee. He is going basically 2-on-1, and he's kicking ass in a house of fire. When Lars tries to get up, EC3 is trying to kind of pick up Lars, just be like, I need you, and the ref does the cool, like, spin, you're out of here. And EC3 just throws a bitch fit. But I would have EC3 still retain. You can have it by, you know, sneaky means and dirty means. You can have it be another roll-up again. If you want to do that for the character, you can go either way. You can have it be a roll-up to kind of continue that character. Or, if you want to legitimize him, you can have him win clean. I'm fine with either. If I had to lean towards one, I would do another roll-up to be like, here you go. After he retains, he calls for the back. Lars brings a chair, wraps it around the neck, hands EC3 a super small hammer. It could be even a ball peen hammer if you want to make the TNA reference to Aces and Eights. Takes it and just starts wailing on the neck. Just goes after him, because this is when Ciampa had the surgery. This is about the time where he was like, well, my neck has stopped being a neck. I need help, please. So let's write him off in a decent way. So this takes Ciampa off TV to get surgery, recover, and EC3 gets all the heat imaginable, right? After that, EC3 starts to lose his mind. He gets very power hungry, and he decides, you know what, I'm actually going to wrestle, but he's wiping out jobbers. He's even disqualifying himself because he is just power hungry. He's like, I can do whatever I want now. This is my show. So he also takes this out on Lars. He starts to scream and berate him more, and one show goes too far. He gets in Lars' face, and Lars just stands over him. He looks at the crowd, and he picks up EC3. EC3 starts like losing his mind. He's just begging. He's like, please God, no. Lars slams him down. Face turn by Lars Sullivan. The next week on NXT, EC3 defends the NXT title against Lars Sullivan. Lars becomes so loved by the crowd. It's the face turn that at that point people would want. Bum rushes EC3, but EC3 ekes out the win with a roll-up again and retains. And Lars just loses his mind. EC3 grabs more chairs, just starts wailing on Lars, but he's saved by Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, because this is the time that people, where in the actual way they book this, is where he had his North American title run, he lost it to Dream after he came back from whatever. So have Gargano see that this piece of shit took out his best friend, and he's like, you can go one of two ways, where you can go either, that was my job, what the fuck, or you took out my best friend, I'm gonna kill you now, super cool. Oh, I forgot a whole fucking bit. No, forget it. Whatever. I apparently I skipped a whole bit, but you know what? Screw it. It's my rating. So, Gargano immediately inserts himself. He can win a number one contenders match if he wants to, but it's going to make sense that Gargano is going to be the number one contender to EC3. Gargano cuts a very intense babyface shoot promo, which another great thing about Johnny Gargano, and especially recently with like the Ciampa work and the Finn Balor work, is that his promos, when he wants to be intense, goes intense. So he cuts this intense promo. He details the history of his friendship with Ciampa, where they started, their whole careers, and how he's going to avenge his fallen brother. EC3 goes mental. He is enraged. You see his promos where he's, at his fancy mansion or on the moon or at eating $10,000 lobster or whatever. He is screaming at everyone. He is breaking tables. He is throwing bases. He is breaking everything, and he is angry. But the main event of TakeOver New York is made. I'm sorry Cole Gargano won. You were my favorite match of 2019, but I need to skip you. Go to TakeOver 25, have Cole win there. That's fine. Whatever. So, in his, almost drunken stupor, but he's angry, he makes a mistake by saying, I don't care, I can beat you, I can beat anyone around you, I can even beat you with no rules. And he, stops himself a bit, and Gargano's like, so you want no rules? Sends a text. And EC3's just trying to backtrack. He's like, no. And Gargano looks, and he's like, well, William Regal already made it official. You and me, no holds barred. And EC3 just starts to lose his goddamn mind. But the match is made. The main event, TakeOver New York, 1 year after EC3 made his debut in NXT. 1 year of him just going full insanity, full top 1% of wrestling acumen. 1 year of rampaging the roster. EC3 is finally being in a brutal match. You can have table spots, you can have whatever spots you want, but it is brutal. It is hard hitting. Gargano finally locks in the Gargano escape. I'd have him do it with the kendo stick, just across the face. That's super cool. Beats EC3, and then you can have that moment where Ciampa comes back with a neck brace, and they stand atop the ramp, even with Candice. They all hug it out. Johnny Gargano is the NXT champion. And then EC3 can be called up to the main roster to feud with other people, to feud with main roster people. I'd love to see him feud with EC3 and Seth Rollins. Would be super cool. EC3, if you want a lower mid-card kind of thing, have him feud with Dolph Ziggler. It'd be interesting. There's so many people you can have him feud with at the main roster, but that is a writing for another time. So, if you want a part 2, let me know. Otherwise, tell me how I did. Did I suck shit? Did I do it worse than how they did it? If I did, that's bad. Please let me know. I will go get another job. But let me know what you think. And also, I will be putting out a Twitter poll for the next episode of The Writer's Room on my Twitter over here at, I already forgot what my thing is, at Tim_the3count. And let me know what you want to see me rewrite again here in the writer's room. But until next time, I'm out of here. This is my beard. I didn't have an outro planned, but fuck it.